Hey guys, back in 2001, most of us shopped at local kirana stores or maybe at a big mall if we lived in a metro. But not everyone had access to good, affordable shopping, especially people living in smaller towns. And this is where Vishal Mega Mart stepped in. They had a simple idea. Why can't we bring modern stores to smaller cities and towns? And what I find interesting is that they didn't focus on selling expensive brands to make it big. Instead, they created their own. Today, they have 26 in house brands, and 19 of those brands make over 100 crores a year, and 6 of them even cross 500 crores annually. And that's actually great, especially for a company that focuses on smaller markets. And if you're tired of long and boring stock analysis videos that waste your time, you're in the right place. I break down stocks in 5 to 10 minutes, focusing only on what really matters with no fluff and no fancy terms. Just clear insights to help you make smarter investment decisions. And if that sounds good, please hit that subscribe button and let's get started. Now, talking about the company's background, I'd say they're all about making modern retail affordable and accessible to middle class and lower middle class Indian families, especially in smaller towns. And here's how they nailed it over the years. Number one, focus on tier 2 and tier 3 cities. While most big retailers focus on metros, Vishal Mega Mart took the road less traveled. They set up stores in smaller cities and towns where people didn't have access to modern retail stores. I think this is where they got their edge. They tapped into markets that others ignored. Number two, private label brands. Instead of depending on big external brands, they built their own. And with 26 in house brands covering everything from clothes to household items, they control both the quality and the pricing. Now, what's nice is that 73% of the revenue comes from these brands, which honestly I find super impressive. Now, number three, affordable pricing. The strategy is all about keeping prices low but selling in large volumes. Basically, they focus on thin margins but high sales, which helps them attract customers who might otherwise stick to local stores. And number four, supply chain model. They've set up an efficient hub and spoke supply chain system, and their central distribution hub works with 17 regional centers, making sure their 645 stores across 414 cities are always stocked up. It's the kind of system that keeps cost low and operations smooth. And number five, the revenue mix. What I like is how well they've diversified their revenue. About 44% comes from apparel, 28% from FMCG, like the everyday household items, and 29% from general merchandise. Now, this mix means they aren't overly dependent on just one category, which helps spread the risk better. And in my opinion, their model is simple yet brilliant, focusing on markets that others ignore, keeping costs low, and offering products that people genuinely need. Now, let's talk about their numbers. Vishal Mega Mart has been on a great growth journey. In 2019, the revenue was only 1,115 crores, but by 2020, it jumped to 4,081 crores. And since then, they've grown steadily, hitting 8,945 crores by 2024. That's almost 8x growth in just 5 years. But it's not just about the revenue. Their operating profit, basically how well they manage their day to day business, went from 89 crores in 2019 to 1,073 crores in 2024. Now, coming to the net profit, which is what's left after paying all expenses and taxes, has also grown from 44 crores to 536 crores during the same time. Now, what really stands out to me is their improving margins. Their operating profit margin has gone up from 8% to 12%, and the net margin has improved from 4% to 6%. Now, this shows they aren't just growing bigger, but they're also getting more efficient, which I think is a big deal. And now, talking about their debt, they have 1,409 crores of debt, but their debt to equity ratio is only 0.24, which is pretty low in my opinion. Now, most of their operations are funded through trade credit and cash flow, which helps keep interest costs low. But honestly, this could also become risky if sales slow down or suppliers start demanding faster payments. So that's something I definitely keep an eye on. Now, talking about their valuation and competitors, here's where things get interesting. Vishal Mega Mart's PE ratio is 109x, which honestly feels pretty expensive compared to peers like Aegis Logistics with 49.93 or Reddington with 14.52 PE. Now, to me, this means the market expects a lot of growth from them, and their market cap is 49,235 crores, which is solid, but it's nowhere close to giants like Adani Enterprises, which sits at 2,80,523 crores. But on the flip side, their quarterly sales growth is 19.27%, which is quite ahead of Adani Enterprises, which stands at 15.66%, and Cello World, which is at 12.04%. So they're growing faster than many of their competitors. That said, their return on equity ROE is only 8.41%. Now compare that to Reddington, which is at 15.13%, or Cello World, which is at 16.78%. It feels like they're not using the resources as efficiently as they could. In short, Vishal is growing fast, but the high valuation and lower profitability make it feel like a bit of a risky bet to me. Now, talking about their pros and cons, here's how I see it. Starting with the pros, they've nailed smaller markets and growing fast with sales up 19.27% the recent quarter. Number two, their private label strategy is impressive and 73% of revenue comes from their in-house private brands. Number three, they have a low debt to equity ratio of 0.24, which keeps their financials stable. Number four, their diversified revenue mix reduces the risk. Now, coming to the cons, their PE ratio of 109 makes them look overpriced compared to competitors. And number two, their ROE of 8.41% is lower than many peers, which isn't great for shareholders. Number three, heavy dependence on trade credit and cash flow could be risky if sales slow down or suppliers tighten credit terms. And now, keeping all of this in mind, if I have to give a final summary, honestly, I think Vishal Mega Mart is a mixed bag for me. On one hand, they're doing a fantastic job tapping into smaller towns, growing fast, and running an efficient operation. But on the other hand, their high valuation and relatively low ROE makes me wonder if they're squeezing enough out of their resources. And if I were looking to invest, I'd probably keep them on my watch list for now, and I'd want to see better profitability or maybe a more reasonable valuation before making a move. It's definitely a great growth story, but it comes with the risks. And for me, it's a wait and watch kind of situation. And now I'd like to hear what you think of Vishal Mega Mart, and please mention that in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.